Hi, welcome back to this week's video. This week we are doing this cute little hairstyle that I saw on TikTok, Pinterest, and Instagram and everywhere else. I'll insert some inspo pics here. So I wanted to recreate it. It turned out pretty cute. The back was a little bit of a struggle. So yeah, bear in mind. I don't know if I did a good job of explaining how I did it, but basically it's all held together with bobby pins because I didn't want to bring out a needle and thread. But the back was a little bit of a struggle, but it was okay. In the front, I mean, you let me know. Yeah, adorable. So let's get started. Alright, so getting into how I parted my cornrows, I didn't go into this wanting to replicate the exact pattern of braids that I saw online. I think the general idea is just that the braids were just a little bit curved at the front and they all had to meet in the middle in a mohawk style. So that was really the idea for me. I didn't really go into it wanting to do any like intricate like designs or anything. The basic idea is just I wanted them all to just go backwards. So when I started parting with the idea that, okay, so I knew that there had to be two braids that were coming down, so I had to create this little section. I just created a middle part and then I started with like a circle, a mini circle. It was like almost an oval, I would say. So I created an oval at the top of my head, and then I replicated that circle into the other half of the circle. But then when I tied it, I realized like it was just uneven. So you might have to, if you're doing this as well, you might just have to tweak the sections or the circles a little bit. But if you're just watching this just to watch, then yeah, just note that I spent like 10 minutes just trying to perfect the circle so that it's symmetrical on both sides. But okay, so what I've done is I've sectioned off the back to just to give me some form of like direction when I'm parting. But I have now two sections where I'm just going to create braids that go like this, and then these are just going to be straight. We have the middle part, okay. Well, you know what I mean, the circle part. And then I created a part here just for one braid, but I'm just thinking it's a little bit too thin. Like, I don't know if I want to make them this small. Because thinking about it, I'm going to have to make them this small, like all across. And I don't know if I want it to be that small. Because I feel like if the braids are like curving this way, after a while, they'll have to like straighten out. You know what I mean? So if it's like going da, 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 then after a while it has to just go straight down. So that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of the curve turning into a straight line. But I feel like I should just cornrow my hair without attachments. What do you think? You can't respond. Oh, I think that's better. I'm going to add the tiniest bit of hair, like this much for each braid. That's it. I don't know if I'm being dramatic, but I don't like that braid. Like, I feel like it's a little bit too thick. I want to try for the next section just braiding my natural hair without any extensions and seeing how it turns out. This one is definitely much flatter. Do I like that better? I don't know. I feel like I'm leaning towards this one just because it's much flatter than this one. But I always feel like when I don't braid my hair with extensions, it's not as defined. Like the braids are not as like crisp, and it usually gets old quicker. Like when you use extensions, it kind of helps like give you a little bit more of a hold on the braid, and therefore like your cornrows are like thicker and like, I don't know, it just lasts longer versus when you just do it with your natural hair. Like it's more likely to be like fuzzy and messy by like day 2 and day 3. But I do like the fact that it's much flatter, so I might just do them all with just my natural hair. So I know I said that I was scared about that curve turning into a straight line, but it ended up not being that big of a deal because my hair is quite sparse at the corner. So when the widow's peak started, that's where I started the straight line and just went down straight. So when I finished the other side of my hair, I just started on the other side. Uh, I will say that I tried my very best to match them up, to match the lines up, but it just didn't end up matching. But that's okay. I think where the mistake started was for the front, like the first 3 braids I did on each sides. As you can see, like the first 3 braids for one of the sides and the left side, it's much smaller than this side, right? So I think the 3 braids amounted to like I took up more space on one side basically. So I think that's why it kind of created a trickle down effect. So all the rest of the braids then just became much smaller. So yeah, but regardless, it still turned out okay. I don't think it needs to be perfect, a perfect match. But for the circle in the middle of my head, I just created a small triangle for the 2 braids that are going to be coming down. I wanted the triangles just to be sloped down, just to indicate that it's the braids are coming down instead of back. But yeah, so I just created those 2 triangles, try to make them as even as possible. And for the semicircle, I just parted it into 2. I try to follow along the same curved line as the first 3 braids were following, but one of the circles or one half of the circle just wasn't as curved as I would like. But no one's looking up there. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so now that we have this part done, I don't actually know how to proceed from here. Do I turn this into a big braid and then just wrap it around a bunch of times? Like 2 braids? Or 2 twists and then wrap it around? I have this ponytail that I used for a previous hairstyle that I was thinking, but I don't actually know how to, like I feel like I need a base and then the wrapping can commence. I also like the look of a braid, to be honest. I actually prefer braid to the twist, so I might do the braid instead. What do you think? Braid or twists? I feel like I like the braid more because these are braids, so it feels like it's feeding into it. Okay, let's figure it out. Okay, so I was debating whether or not to leave these clips in because it's really just me struggling through how to wrap the back end. So I think it's fair. I think it's actually no, I think it's unfair for me to like always come and just present the final, like the final product without showing you how much I struggle to do it. So I'm just gonna leave it in. If you want to skip and just skip to the next chapter or actually figure it out, please feel free. But my initial idea was to create a base and then start wrapping the ponytail around the base. So I created two bases, but I was like, there's that big space in the middle, so I created three bases instead by just taking out two of the braids. So I created three base just by wrapping loose hair, and then I used the braid to wrap around the base. But then it just became very like heavy and like a bigger deal than I wanted it to be. Like it's, you see in a second, but like the braids turned out to be, it took up a lot of space is what I'm gonna try and say. Oh, I also briefly considered using like the braid with the gold string around it just to add a little bit of pizzazz, but I was like, no, let me just stick to the original plan. So I used the braid to wrap around the base, but then there was like this big space that still needed to be filled even after three braids have been wrapped around each base. So I just at the end decided to get rid of the bases because I feel like it just created a lot of bulk, and then just use the hair by itself. So I started with just the braids by itself, and it just wasn't like holding, and I just didn't like the look of it. And then eventually, my third try, I started using. I went back to the twist. I used the twist to just wrap around the like my hair. Like I went back to the two ponytails, so I just wrapped around the two ponytails a bunch of time. And there's no really like structured way or like method that I used, but I didn't want to pull out my needle and my thread to like actually secure it. But I think if you are to wear this like for a few days, like yeah, you definitely will need a needle and thread to like hold it in place, because there's no way I can like go to sleep with the bobby pins that are holding this together and like wake up and it'll still be intact. Like no. So this was literally a style just for the day. So I took out the ponytail at the end of the night. But yeah, if you're going to use this hairstyle for a few days, then yes, you probably will need a needle and thread to actually hold the bun, the swirl, the twisted bun into the braids. But basically, I just maneuvered it as much as I possibly could. Like I just twisted it a bunch of times. I used a whole lot of bobby pins just to, like hold the the twist in place. So I would use a bobby pin and I'll anchor the bobby pin into like the single cornrows. So I'll anchor the bobby pin into the twist, and then using the bobby pin, I'll hook it onto my cornrow so that it stayed in place. I used, I think, either two or three ponytails. I don't remember, but you can see me wrapping them around here. I used a twisted, I think two actually, yeah. I used two of the twisted ponytails and I wrapped it around and I just secured it with bobby pins, just to hold the swirl in place. But yeah, that's as best as I can describe it. I wish I gave a little bit more of like a explanation, but as you can see me, I literally just tried a bunch of things and try to fill the space as much as possible, and whatever stuck, and that was a method. So yeah, but I hope that's a good enough explanation of how I did it.
Watching my story, I see you getting my lifestyle. I see you watching my movements. This bad beat bad every day. I know they look at your face. Bad man bad every day. Get on your knees and pray. Do you regain your faith? Bad killer, every somebody got. Don't take my energy from your cardula. In my past, don't say I'll be my healer. Everything I desire, I'm gonna see my rhythm. Flow like a river. If you get sour, come on, pass it down. I go just para. Come on, my jigger. I go just say, follow my lead. I'm feeling vibes all night. I'm fucking dynamite. After your candle light, you know I'm just like that. Don't let me kill my vibe. Don't let me kill my vibe.
So yeah, that's it. That's quite literally how I did it. So for the two braids, I just measured a piece of loose hair just to make sure that it's the length that I wanted it to be. I think it stopped around my chin, so that's where I wanted the braids to stop. Now, braiding backwards is not exactly my strength, so I kind of struggle through this a little bit, but I just fed in hair and then I just did it downward so that it'll fall flat instead of up. To seal the ends, I just put some nail glue on where the braid ends. So I just made sure my hair was past, or my natural hair was, past the mark. And then I just put some nail glue to seal it off so it doesn't unravel. And then from my edges, I just put some just gels on my edges so I can it's a little bit sleeker. Again, I usually like to put sleek my hair into a braid so that it looks like it's coming out of a braid, or at least not coming out, going into a braid. And then I went ahead and braided the other half. I just wanted to do my edges first so that while it's setting, I can use that time to do the other braid. And then I went ahead and did my makeup. That's it. Okay, so I went away and did my makeup, and this is the final look. Ooh, I think that's easy. For these two braids, I just literally hovered over the sink and just poured water on it just so it relaxed, so it can just be a little bit like looser. But this is the finished look. What do we think? Fit from here, face value, I love it. But then when I look at this, I don't know. I'm not in love with the bun, but like I tried my best. I tried my best. You saw how I was struggling through it, but I mean, I think it's okay. It's not too bad, but it's just a lot of bobby pins and hopes and dreams holding it together. I feel like one wrong move, it's all gonna fall apart. But yeah, that's it. Anyway, um, yeah, there's nothing else to say. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, sorry, I forgot to give you a 360. Yeah?